Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the Figma link. This is the Tears of the Kingdom version and the DX edition from the Good Smile shop. So the front of the box has that new packaging that they're doing for all their DX editions. It's all black and it's got some motifs from like the game or series they're from, and then you have a picture of the figure. Then on the side just has the name of the figure, more of those swirls from Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. And then on the back, you can see basically everything that he comes with, some poses you can get him in, and then some, legal jargon and warnings. And then on the other side, you have a picture of his back with the Master Sword and his bow and his shield and, quiver of arrows. He's all kitted out. So let's get this guy opened up and see everything that he comes with. Real quick, for anyone interested to see beyond just the box sleeve, if you've never had a DX box, the front of the box is just like a normal Figma box. You have a picture of the figure here, side, more photos of the figure, back, some similar photos from what they had on the back of the sleeve, just with some extra accessories being shown here. And then you have that same, photo of the side because the box was open on this side. Okay, so taking a look at Link outside of his packaging, this figure looks really nice. Looks like he just walked right out of the video game. All the details are there. If you look closely, you've got the gold here on these little... I don't even know what these are, actually. Fun fact, I had Tears of the Kingdom, and then I decided I didn't have time to play it, so I promptly returned it. But it did look like a fun game, and maybe I'll get to it. But if anyone knows the name of these little capsules on his belt, let me know. But they look really cool. They're painted really well, sculpted really well. His tunic has that design from Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. He's got the grayed out arm, which is pretty cool and sculpted really well. See the pouches on his belt. The sculpting here is really nice and stylized. He comes with the quiver already on him. I assume, well, maybe you can't take it off, but maybe you can get this off him if you didn't want him to have it on 24/7. Then the back there with the pauldron for like shooting arrows looks nice. Then even the chainmail down here looks really nice, and all this is like a softer plastic. And then coming up to his face, the hair sculpt is really nice on his face. Looks like Link from the game. This is not my favorite Link look. I still like Twilight Princess Link. I like how angular and sharp that looks, but I like his hair. I think his hair looks pretty cool. As you can already see, there's an articulation point there for the hair, which is pretty cool. And then coming down to the pants, just regular pants for the bottom, and then his boots are regular boots, brown, well painted, nothing on the bottoms there. I'd be really interested if Good Smile just got the rights to make all kinds of Links, so like Deity Link and Dark Link. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, taking a look at his articulation, he looks up about this much. It looks down about this much. As you can see, like his neck has movement too, and it has that like turtleneck looking piece tied onto it. As you saw, his hair ponytail can move up and down, which is pretty cool. And then he's got like that extra piece of hair back there to like move when his head looks all the way up, which is great. I always love that. Figma's always improving on their articulation for some figures, and then others they just kind of do the status quo, but I'm glad they kind of went ahead and improved for this guy. And then his arms, looks like they can at least hit a T, which is good. Of course, you'd want them to go higher, but, what can you do? They do come around front to get a little bit of, let's see, a butterfly joint. So you can bring his arms in front of him. As you see in the back, that looks, pretty seamless, pretty good. It's a little stiff on mine, so be careful with yours as well if you want to heat it up beforehand. You have an upper arm swivel up here, and then you do, actually, looks like you don't have a bicep swivel down here unless mine is stuck. If you get yours and yours can swivel down there, let me know. Let me see if this one does it. This one does not swivel either, just has the upper arm swivel up here, which I guess is fine. He doesn't have any kind of gauntlet movement at all. But for the wrist, it's just a standard Figma joint. Let's see. Yep. Standard Figma joint on that little peg. And a hinge. And then they always put their hand, like the peg holes, like kind of towards the thumb area, which is interesting. But yeah. For ab crunch, He's separated in two sections, as you can kind of see right there. So going back, really nothing at all. And then going forward, you can get a little bit more crunch there, which looks good. You can definitely use it to get into the poses that he has on the back of the box. He does have a swivel or waist twist. Kind of hard, and be careful because this is all like a matte kind of paint. And as you can already see, before I even got him out of the box, he was scuffed. So I assume they had a difficult time kind of getting him all together from the factory. Then he does have not any really side to side movement, which is really interesting. To take him apart, I'd be interested to see, like, is this all just ball pegs and he just can't move, or is this a hinge? I'm very confused. Nothing down here at the waist, but for the legs, as you can see, they're on ball pegs. So he can get the full splits, which is awesome. And then to kick up, this part is, again, a softer piece. It's still kind of hard because he has a bunch of it layered on top of each other, but he can kick up about that much. He has double jointed knees, which are way different from how Figma usually does it, which is pretty cool. I think these look really nice. He does not have a boot swivel. He does have a thigh swivel, so you can kind of see, but it's all the way up there on that ball joint. It's not like a separate cut, which is interesting. And then for the foot, let's see, it goes up about that much. You can make it go down about that much. And then for ankle rocker, you kind of have to wiggle it around, but he does get it. It's not the deepest ankle rocker, but it is there. And then he does have a toe joint. So yeah, articulation wise, I mean, you can definitely get him into, you know, whatever poses you want him to be in for, you know, attacking or drawing his master sword or whatever other weapon you have available. Like, he can reach behind him and grab things. You can have him reach back here and grab, like, an arrow. Zoom out a little bit. You have him, like, reach down there and grab an arrow. He has double jointed elbows as well, and these are differently sculpted and engineered from normal Figma joints, which I kind of wish that they would just do this all the time, because this looks really, really nice and seamless. You don't have like a weird elbow pad sticking out. It's pretty seamless with the joint, and it's sculpted, which is really good. So yeah, I don't know why they just don't do this all the time. And of course you can get a little attitude in the head too, because it does do side to side. But yeah, you can get all the poses you want to. It's just messing around with the articulation. And of course, can we always get more? Yes, for the price point. But I do think that, you know, this link kind of hits all the main points. So let me know what you guys think down below about this. But I'm pretty satisfied compared to the previous ones we got. One other thing to note about his articulation is that these legs are on a drop down, so you can get them to go, you know, further up with that drop down. They don't really go back either. Just be aware of that because of this quiver here, and then just because of the engineering of the legs, they don't really go back, but they are a drop down, so you can make them look a little taller if you need to. And now it's time for the billion accessories that he comes with for the DX version, which I think Figma most of the time, or like maybe, I won't even say most of the time, 65 maybe % of the time, they do a good job with the DX accessories when they have a DX version of something, and it's always worth getting. So starting out, you can see the sheath for the Master Sword, very nicely painted. They always do a great job with the sculpt and paint. Really nice navy blue and metallic paint there. Then it just has a blue peg on the back to plug into him. And of course, like any person that carries a sword that's in action figure form, most of the time it's just a hole in the back, and you plug that in, and that's how that looks. And then of course he comes with the Master Sword itself. This looks like, I mean, the Master Sword hasn't really changed in look in a bit, but this looks like the same version that we got with Twilight Princess Link, and of course the other links that came out, the Skyward Sword one, I think this kind of was pretty much the sword for that, but let me know if I'm wrong down below. I'm just going off of base assumption, but yeah, looks pretty good. And then you can put it in the sheath back here if you want to. Just be careful of his hair, you know, that paint transfer or break anything. So yeah, you can have that in there. And then he comes with a drawn arrow, which is really nice. It's really nicely painted and sculpted. The nice gunmetal on the end of the arrow. and on the other end where the feathers are. It's really good. To shoot that arrow, he comes with this bow. I assume this is some like ancient tech bow from the video game, but this looks really nice. Doesn't seem like it comes apart, but I have to look at the instructions again to make sure. But yeah, it doesn't look like it comes apart. Can just easily go into his hand. Really nicely sculpted and painted. Love this. And then you've got an alternate arm that has his arm completely torn up, so you can have more of that like ancient techie look, which is pretty cool. That shouldn't be too hard to swap out, especially if you heat this up. Has all the same articulation, double jointed elbow. Looks really good. And then you get his cape, which is really nice. I wonder why they didn't put any kind of wire or anything in it, but I guess they weren't too interested in that. So what you can do is you can take off, well, one, take off the sword, and then take off his head, and then plug this into the back, which I don't think they needed to have this plugged into the back, but I get why they did it, because without this plugged in, like, you can't plug in the Master Sword afterward. Let's see here. There we go. So yeah, so on the back there, you can do that, then plug in the Master Sword, or whatever weapon you want him to have. You have to finagle it to get this to kind of like lay flat afterwards, but of course, you know, that is an option. Then you could put his head back on, and now you have Link with a cape and the sword. If you want to take the sword out, which I wish you could like remove this piece, but you can't. Well, I guess you could actually. You could take this piece out if you wanted to not, you know, avoid having this like lump in the back, but I guess that's fine. But that's what he looks like with the cape on. It's a really nice cape, really nicely printed and painted up here. And then his articulation with the cape on. You can actually lift his hair up a little bit. Be careful you don't take the neck off, but he still kind of, you know, can look up, and of course he can look back down. But yeah, it's a little hindered with the cape on, but it is pretty cool. And then, of course, if you have the Master Sword, you have the shield here, the Alien shield, I believe it is. You have the different straps, and you can pull these off to change which orientation or which arm you want the shield on, which is pretty cool. Looks good, really nicely painted. Again, this is all very cleanly painted. You can kind of see where they kind of oversprayed just like a tiny bit on the silver up here near the Triforce, but the actual logo is really clean. And then for faceplate options, you do get a smiling Link face, which is really nice. Right now he's like neutral. This looks really good. And then you get an attacking Link face, which is really good. Don't have any complaints, and it's pretty easy to put on. Then for the second tray, which is all the other DX accessories, you get this other shield here, which I assume is like a starter shield in the game. Really nice like damage effects or damage sculpting. Really nice paint on the front. Then it has that same mechanic of how you can change out the straps to change the orientation or which way he's holding it, which is really good. And then there's a mechanic, I guess, where you can basically stick stuff together. So they gave you like the club on a stick, or like a makeshift club, so rock on a stick, which looks really cool. It has the wrap down here at the bottom. This is really awesome. You could probably use this for any other figure that can hold this thin of a grip. And then you get this really cool big piece, which is the glider that he comes with, or he can use in the game. These pieces do not move up and down, so please do not move them. You'll break them. But there are two ports right here, and that is for these two tassel accessories where you can move up and down. So you just insert them up here, and then you can move them up and down. Yeah, this is really cool. Really nice display piece. Have him kind of parachuting down, and then he comes with the hands already sculpted on there, so you don't have to worry about breaking this, you know, trying to put hands around it or anything like that. All you have to do is pop that out and you can plug him in there. Then he has this rocket effect, which is pretty cool. Looks like it's got a peg there. It's really nicely painted, sculpted again in this like teal and gold and yellow motif with some white. And then you have the thruster back here, which you put this effect part into. And then it looks like he's kind of blasting off with it, which is kind of cool. I believe you can take, let me see here. You can pop out, yeah, so there's like a little peg right here, which you could, let me see if I can actually pop it out with this. Don't try this at home, kids. Probably bad to do. She'll definitely break this. But you can use the other end to kind of pop this out. And then you can plug this in. And then you could plug this in right here. Yeah. So then it looks like, you know, he's got the rocket on the shield. He's about to blast off, which looks pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Then you can just return that peg to the front. And there you go. One other accessory that's in this tray is this piece right here. I know he has an ability to kind of like phase through places. So literally all you have to do is detach him. And then this would be cool if it had a magnet on there so you could like put it on your fridge or something. You just have Link coming out of your fridge or off the lamp or something like that. But that's what that looks like. It's like he's like floating up through a level or a wall or whatever display you might have. So it looks really cool. And that's all for that tray. The final set of accessories he comes with, just taped to the very bottom. So I can get this off without making everything go flying. Of course, his hands. So he has a pointer hand, a like splayed out, relaxed hand. He has a gripping hand right here. And all these are really nicely sculpted and painted. Let's see if I can kind of pull this out. So yeah. He's got a gripping hand right there. Really nicely sculpted and painted. Then he has two hands for like the corrupted side. So he has one hand for shooting an arrow. Let me see if this won't focus up. There we go. So one hand for shooting an arrow. You can kind of see there's a little notch there to put the arrow end in. And then he has another hand to like hold a shield or hold a weapon, which is really cool. This hand to point as well. I mean, you can, this is also for shooting an arrow, but you could also just use it as a, or holding the bow and shooting the bow, you know. But this can also be used as like pointing at someone or something like that if you want to use it for that purpose as well. And it comes with the normal Figma base. And 2 extra wrist pegs, just in case you break them. And this is new. I've never seen it come with this before, but this is like a little, I don't know, catalog or like tiny piece of paper for showing what other things are coming out. So if you're interested in any of that, you take a look at that. It kind of shows their release schedule. Very cool, new, and of course he comes with his accessory manual, so you can know how to put everything in there. But yeah, those are all of his accessories. That's a lot of stuff for a DX figure, and I'm pretty happy that they included everything. If you know what other thing they should have included, please let me know, because again, I didn't play the video game, so I'm unsure of like what I would want that's missing from this, but seems like it's pretty good to me. I don't have any complaints. So let's get into some size comparisons. One thing I forgot to talk about when looking at his accessories, just because it blends in with the clear plastic clamshell, is that he comes with clips to actually put the bow on his back as well, along with the Master Sword. So this big part clips onto the Master Sword, and then the little piece clips onto the bow, which is super cool. You can have him fully kitted out. Okay, so for the first size comparison, here he is next to the Twilight Princess Figma Link. I do have the other little Link from A Link Between Worlds, but I have no clue where he ran off to. But yeah, but just looking at these two, this Link is like built like a proper human. He's bigger, his head is bigger. This guy is very like thin and lithe. He's far shorter than this Link as well. But I mean, I really hope, honestly, that they redo Twilight Princess Link to have the proportions of this guy. And I don't know if that's just because of, you know, how he came off in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And, like, this Link just isn't meant for that. But I would like for him to have more proportions closer to this one. But yeah, I think they look good, though. You know, and he doesn't have the hat, which, of course, is, you know, sad. But I still think they would look cool next to each other. And you can have either one in your Smash Bros. Display. I think either one would work. And this guy came with like a ton of weapons with his DX version. So let me see if you can actually put this in here. Oh yeah. So you could actually put the weapons from the Twilight Princess Link onto this guy, and it comes out of the sheath, of course. So yeah, if you have the Twilight Princess Link, you can use some of the weapons from that. And I'm guessing you could probably even use some of the weapons from the Link to the Past DX Link if you want to kind of, you know, flesh out this Link's kit, because he can pick up all kinds of weapons in the game. So yeah, I think that looks good. And then here he is standing next to a Jada Toys Mega Man and then a Biker Mice from Mars from the Nacelle line. I chose this Mega Man because it's the most easily accessible one, besides the new, I think it's a Sentinel one that came out that I reviewed not too long ago. But this guy is probably one that people would really like to have, you know, in their collection standing next to Link. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit more fuller, you know, would look nice in the Smash Bros. Collection. And then this guy is supposed to be, you know, a bigger domestic figure because they're, you know, aliens technically, but they're taller than humans. So I still think that this, you know, lineup kind of looks good. And then here he is standing next to an SH Figuarts Deku and then an SH Figuarts Full Power Super Saiyan Son Goku. Again, I think this matchup is really nice. He's basically standing as tall or maybe a little bit taller than Goku, just from shoulder height right here. But I think all the three of these like look really nice and look really good on your shelf. Again, proportionally, he works out to look more like a real human than the Twilight Princess Link, which I really appreciate. And then for a final comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends animated Spider-Man and a Marvel Legends Iron Man. Again, I think he fits in really nicely with domestic figures just because his proportions are not as lithe as like a normal anime figure would be. And he has a little bit more height on him as well. So yeah, I think he'd fit in really with any collection you have. Alright, so for my final verdict, I like this guy a lot. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't get him if you love the game or just love this design of Link. This is probably the only company that's going to do him, you know, an extreme amount of justice. I know there's like I think there's like the Jazzwares or Jack Specific version of this guy, or the Breath of the Wild version. But this one is totally worth it, especially the DX version, just because of all the accessories that it comes with. Like, I know it's $100, but it's definitely worth the money. And it does come with like a clamp too, that you could put the bow and the Master Sword on his back, which is pretty sick. But yeah, this guy is everything you want in a Link figure. And I hope that Figma decides to do more Links, because, I mean, you can never have enough, and it's pretty cool. You could have all of them on your shelf from, like, all timelines. But yeah, I definitely think this guy is worth picking up. Let me know what you guys think down below about this figure, and if you picked him up, and which version did you get? Are you looking forward to Ganon? Are you looking forward to Princess Zelda? I'm really looking forward to Ganon. I hope when he comes out, he's super, you know, on point with paint, how he looks, how he feels, and is not a loose figure. I know that's something I worry about with imports and figures being a little bit bigger. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.